fascinating, interesting debate show is live in the huddle.
I want to kick things off in Cleveland because a couple of days ago, we got a trade request from Kareem Hunt. And the Browns said, you know what, I'm not dealing with this guy. You staying here. But how should the Browns proceed with Kareem Hunt following his trade request? And Zay, if you want to do the honors to kick us off.
Yeah, I think the Browns need to tread carefully. I think that was something that was unfortunate that they declined it right away. But I understand they have aspirations to go somewhere this season, especially with the Deshaun Watson suspension still looming. It was 6 games originally. We don't know what's going to happen in the aftermath. But, I understand they probably want to hold off just yet until they figure out what's going to happen to Deshaun Watson officially. That's probably their game plan because I don't know if they want to give away Kareem Hunt for too little. I think that's something that's on the Browns' mind right now because they know how dynamic Kareem Hunt can be when he has a lot of carries under his belt, trying to get the most yards possible for that offensive line. So I think they're just trying to hold out hope and potential that Deshaun Watson is able to play this season because if he is, they'll want to keep Kareem Hunt to hopefully utilize their chances to get to a playoff or make a deep playoff run. But if Watson is out for a year or even longer, I can see that them trading Kareem Hunt for a package regarding a lot of draft picks or like another useful player that could get him over the hump. Maybe even Kareem Hunt for a Jimmy G kind of scenario, which would be interesting if something like that was to play out. But that's my opinion on that right now.
Zach, I started off a little bit erratic. Normally we do our intros here on the show. I forgot to mention your boy's on vacation right now, so I don't got the mic, I don't got the setup, but I'm here, and that's the most important thing. And with that being said, I would like to pick it up where Zay left off, and I'm going to pass it over to you. You see, I think right now what the Browns should do is, I don't like saying give in and pay, but they got to try to find common ground with them and Kareem Hunt. And the reason why I say so is because what makes the Browns so unique is that they win in their own ways, right? We see in this league, in this era of the NFL, there's a lot of passing, right? Passing 40 times per game. These air raid, I don't even call it air raid offense, but these spread offenses out there in the NFL, they have this ability to ground and pound with 2 backs, actually 3. The Jonas Johnson is another cat out there that I like. But having 3 backs, I think gives them an advantage because the running back position is a position that it's very thin because guys get hurt, the wear and tear, guys fall off cliffs. Ezekiel Elliott woke up one day and decided to be trash. Okay, to have that depth at the running back position, I think it's a very, very big plus. And we all know Kareem Hunt was putting that work, bro. He could be a starter on any other team. And the fact that you have him as a backup, I think is a very big plus. Not to mention that, you're going to go in this year with Jacoby Brissett. But hey, we probably punting the season anyway, right? So do you really need Kareem Hunt? I would say so because when Deshaun Watson comes back, doesn't mean you have to revert like everybody else and be this passing team and pass 40 times a game. You can literally use your 2 backs and off the backs of your back, you put up 40 points per game or 30 points per game, and you have a quarterback now that all he needs to do is make the right play in the future. That is, right now, you can argue there's a lot going on in Cleveland with this trade request, with everything going on. Jakeem Grant just got hurt. Deshaun Watson, ever since Deshaun Watson, I actually disagree because even before Deshaun Watson, this franchise was doomed from the start. I mean, come on, who are we kidding? This franchise has been dysfunctional and incompetent for all these years. It just seems like right now it's to the forefront that everybody cares about what's going on with this franchise because of who they signed and what came with that guy. But with that being said, I think Kareem Hunt is a workhorse back that you want on your team alongside Nick Chubb and alongside Jonas Johnson. So I say make amends.
Yeah, so there's some additional information I wanted to bring up following the trade request that I think is pretty relevant. The Browns said, no, we want you to play out this year, prove to the league that you're one of the best backs, and then we'll give you the big contract. And part of the reason why I'm so fascinated and interested by this topic is I agree with you guys. I think Kareem Hunt, if he would go to another team, could be a very helpful and useful piece. He's a dynamic running back that can make plays in the passing game, in the running game. And I'm just really curious, what is his value? Because when it comes to the running back position, it's scarce. We know teams are hesitant to pay them a lot of money due to guys like Ezekiel Elliott and numerous guys just getting around that age 28, 29, 30 mark and falling off. Kareem Hunt is very useful in the passing game, so I think that helps him long term. But I'm curious, like, what could the Browns get back? And for me, if I'm Cleveland, like, if I'm trading him, I'm only trading him if it's in the right deal that makes sense for me. So, like, if I'm Cleveland, I think I would try to get a second-round pick back. If a team would offer me that, I think that's a fair deal that I would consider. But I don't know if they're going to be able to get a second-round pick back for a running back, where that's a position where a lot of people are hesitant. I like what Zay said when it came to a possible straight-up Kareem Hunt for Jimmy G trade. We know that Kyle Shanahan loves his running backs, and he is more focused on the running game and setting up schemes in that way, even sometimes more than the passing game. So I think that could be an interesting fit. But I'm just curious because Kareem Hunt is a very good, dynamic, useful running back, but what would a team be willing to give up if they could only have him for one season? And I'm just curious what his market is and what his value is right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of interesting points y'all both made up. I mean, look, you could trade him, get some trade value back that you can add and supply to this team when you're ushering.
Oh, and keep in mind, one other thing I forgot to say quickly, Cleveland doesn't have any first-round picks. So they might be desperate for draft picks after they gave up all the picks for Watson. But go ahead.
And they might be desperate to trade a pick to get Jimmy Garoppolo, because right now, before I came on this show, I got a notification in the car. Roger Goodell wants a year-long suspension. So you take that in consideration. Who is your quarterback? Jacoby Brissett. Okay, are we going to win games with Jacoby Brissett? I think if you were to start Jacoby Brissett and not trade for Jimmy G, then, all right, do we punt this season away and say, okay, the next 4 years, we're going to have competent quarterback play, and we're just going to punt the season away and risk a lot of stuff happening, like guys wanting to be traded. Like, okay, am I going to sit here and wait for Deshaun Watson to come around, or should I go somewhere else and try to compete for a championship right now? Do you risk that, right? Do you risk losing a guy like Kareem Hunt and trying to get a pick that means more in a couple years and punt this season away, or are we going to use this pick to try to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo and try to trade probably a 5th rounder, 6th rounder? Because right now you can get the guy off the clearance rack. Nobody wants Jimmy Garoppolo right now because the quarterback musical chairs is already filled in. So that's where you have to balance everything out and see what ultimately you decide to do.
I think real quick, I think that's a dangerous play to play for the Browns, to just punt the season away, because like Zach said, they have no more draft picks. So if you just punt the season away, you just tank or whatever, you're giving away a very valuable pick to that Houston Texans team in a draft class next season that a lot of people are saying has some really remarkable quarterbacks. You know, something that the Texans might be looking at if Davis Mills is not the guy for the job this upcoming season or finishing the season. So I think this will be an interesting moment right now what the Browns will do, because they put themselves in a very precarious situation. If they punt the season away, their draft picks that they gave away or they traded away are going to be utilized for a high draft pick. But then also, if they wind up trying to be competitive, how competitive could they be with Jacoby Brissett as the quarterback in a very dangerous AFC?
And that's where having a guy like Kareem Hunt could be useful if you're not trying to punt the season away. Because you got a quarterback here where he's not Superman. He's a game manager that could throw the ball deep, yeah, but he's not actually a big, deep completion percentage guy, even though he has a strong arm. So what you want to do if you're not trying to punt the season away is use your 2 running backs. All you have to do is literally hand the ball off and make a couple plays, use your veteran presence and your veteran experience to just put us over the top and just hold serve. That's all we need you to do. And in that case, you will want your 2 and 3 backs to be under center if you're not trying to punt the season away.
Let me make this really clear. If I'm Cleveland, I'm really not trying to punt this season away. We say it all the time. They have one of the best rosters in the NFL. Even with all the question marks at the quarterback position, this is a really talented roster that has added some pieces over the past few years that's made them improve them, has gotten them better. Greg Newsome in the secondary is a really good cover corner. You look at the wide receiver position. I like the draft pick of David Bell from Purdue, bringing in the kid from Michigan, Peoples-Jones. He's really developed over the past few years. And I do think like Jimmy G could make this Browns team competitive and good, even in a tough AFC North if Watson's out for the full season. But the issue I have with Cleveland right now, and the Kareem Hunt talk has a lot to do with it, like, I'm curious, what is the vibe around Cleveland Browns training camp right now? Because one thing I know for sure is that they don't know what the deal is with Deshaun Watson. They don't know when he's going to be on the field. None of us do. And the focus in Cleveland right now, I just can't imagine that it's all 100% on football and their game plan for week 1 when they head to Charlotte, North Carolina, because they don't even know really who their quarterback's going to be. It could be Jacoby Brissett. Maybe by some miracle it's Deshaun Watson. Maybe it's Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, we don't even know. And even though I really like this Browns roster, even with the question marks at the quarterback position, like, I just question what is the focus at training camp right now, even with a good head coach in Kevin Stefanski, who I like, even with a talented roster. Like, the Browns, for me, I just have a hard time, like, comparing them, honestly, to any other team in the NFL right now in terms of expectations, because I don't know what the deal is with their quarterback, and that's a major problem.
I think for me, one of the points that I actually forgot to bring up that I was actually thinking about on my way trying to, get on this mic here is I don't think it's a coincidence that right now Kareem Hunt comes out and say, pay me this amount of money. He could have did it before. Why now? Okay, I can tell you my theory on why it's right now. And that's because he realizes that Jacoby Brissett is going to be under center, and he's going to be even more valued and be a valuable part of this offense because of what I said about having a guy that's just there to hold serve until somebody else comes back. So that's where you look at the timing of this and you put 2 and 2 together, you should get 4. And that's why I think right now, Kareem Hunt is actually going beyond and saying, listen, pay me my money now because I'm going to be an even more integral part of this offense. With that being said, what's the vibe around Cleveland? It's the same vibe that's been around Cleveland for the last 40 years, just with more publicity on it. Okay? Like I said, this franchise has been dysfunctional for abundance of years. This is another day at the ballpark. It's just that right now you got a quarterback with 25 allegations, and he's the face of your franchise. Of course, there's going to be even more backlash and more area around it.
It wasn't this dysfunctional 2 years ago. I know it was 2020 and the media wasn't allowed because of COVID, but in 2020, I thought the delusions were out of Cleveland, I thought they finally turned a corner, but 2 years later, here we are. It's crazy how the tides turn and how bad franchises continue to make bad decisions.
Any last words, or are we headed to commercial break?
I think the last particular thing is this Cleveland Browns team has made a great job of making sure that they're in the headlines every week. It's something that's unfortunately looking like a downward spiral of their team after acquiring a Deshaun Watson player who many thought would take this Cleveland Browns team over the top this season. Maybe we'll have to wait another year, or maybe, Roger Goodell doesn't get his wishes and get that year-long suspension that he wants, but we're all on the edge of our seats waiting for something to happen. And unfortunately, it seems like Kareem Hunt doesn't want to wait. He wants to be able to start right away. I think he believes that he deserves a start in this league and not just play a third down back or right behind Nick Chubb. He probably in his mind thinks he's as good as Nick Chubb. So maybe that's something that was plaguing Kareem Hunt's mind when he looks around the league and sees there's a lot of teams out there that may need a running back, especially teams that are contending for a playoff.
My last point is it's going to be very interesting to see, because Zay, you made this point a long time ago, so I'm actually piggybacking off your point. How do the Browns manage this situation where you have everything going on and the uncertainty of Deshaun Watson? How do you get players to look at the bigger picture and say, all right, when this guy comes back, this is where we want to be? You almost have to have a chart. This is where we want to be 2 years from now. This is where we are right now. When guys are not getting their targets, like Amari Cooper, who left the Cowboys, or actually got traded from the Cowboys, but they didn't like the ball distribution over there either, came out and talked about that. If Jacoby Brissett is throwing him the ball, and we have the situation again where, I have an incompetent quarterback that's worse than Dak Prescott, how is he going to feel, right? Is he going to say, all right, maybe next year I'm going to be able to get my stats up there, right? These other wide receivers as well. Kareem Hunt, you know what I'm saying? This situation right here. How is the whole team going to stay together knowing that I just got to wait a year? We have to see. Because people get antsy, bro. The Israelites, when they was out there in the desert, they wanted to eat. They was like, listen, you can preach promised land, promised land, promised land. I'm trying to eat right now because the brother's starving. We have to see how these plays out.
We've said this before about the NFL, just really quickly to end it. Your window to win is never as long as you think. And just because the Browns have one of the better rosters in the NFL right now, there are no guarantees that a year from right now, they're going to be in the same position. And that's really why, if I'm them, I'm trying to win as many games this year as possible, but it's unfortunate because the quarterback they traded 3 first-round picks for just isn't going to be on the field, and that's their decision that they made. No one to blame but themselves.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know y'all not getting tired of watching In the Huddle over and over again, so like and subscribe to the channel and receive these new notifications of new uploaded content that will be coming your way. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of your day. I'm out. Peace.